Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to this edition of the Tuesday Telecast, where it is Tuesday at 10 a.m. on the East Coast of the United States, and I have a friend who you've seen before, and we're going to have a great discussion. She's right down the coast from me, right here in the Eastern Time Zone, also, and but wherever you are, please let me know in the comments, and we want engagement on this. So please, if you have questions for us, put them in the comments and we'll try to get to them. Right now, I know that I have Chrissy Bencivenga backstage, and we're going to bring her into the house. Here she comes. Hi, Chrissy.
Hello. Hi.
Woohoo! So, hey everyone, we're here to talk about some things that we love talking about, and that is, it's a wild and woolly world out there, and you can be afraid of the weather, you can be afraid of the boss, you can be afraid of leaders, you can be mad at them, you can be really afraid of technology. And you can be superior to it, or you can be pissed off by it, but we're here to kind of just question that mode that we all go into of seeing the enemy, whatever it is, seeing the weird and naming it, and being afraid of it, stepping away from it, running away from it, trying to kill it. This is something that we have done for a long time as humans, but it also is something that some humans don't do, and they get great success by not having enemies. So let's I'm gonna open it up to you, Chrissy, and you are an AI aficionado and leader and educator, and it's something that you embraced from a place of maybe not. You were skeptical at first, just like anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. I had just been terminated from a, an organization, a nonprofit organization that I worked for 10 years. And throughout that course, I got a master's. I was studying DEI. I got a master's in HR, certificate in diversity and equity. And I was like, this is my path. This is great. And for one reason or another, I was terminated about a year and a half into my HR career in my early 40s, right? I'm still kind of in my early 40s. This was just a few years ago. And it was wild. I had to really look at my life. I was like, I thought I had changed my whole life, found my life, and here I am. I just redid my whole life, right? It was a pandemic, divorce. It was the whole 9 yards. I was like, and now I was faced with reinventing again. I was like, oh no, no, this is not for me. I don't want to learn anything new. And it was right at the time I had lost my position and I had to start looking for a job. And it was all about AI. It was like, you're not gonna lose your job to AI. You're gonna lose your job to someone who knows AI. And I was like, oh, I don't even want a job. Like, I don't even want to work. I was like,
I
what
want
is
a
going on
nap.
here? I was like so dysregulated. I didn't know what to do, but I got curious and I kept seeing a quote that said the magic you're looking for is in the work you've been avoiding. And I was avoiding AI like the plague. So I delved a little. If anyone knows large language models and ChatGPT, it loves the word delve. We're going to delve into it. We're going to demystify it. It's so funny. So when you hear people talking like that, they've been talking with ChatGPT. So I started learning it, and as a person who was also recently diagnosed with ADHD and navigating the fact that, oh, wow, I do things differently. Maybe that's why the workforce didn't work out very well for me. I started making AI my best friend. I just started talking to it every day on walks while I was trying to brainstorm what I was going to do with my life. Was I going to be a DEI consultant? I don't know. It's not necessarily the climate for that. I have strong convictions about how I feel about equity. But if that avenue's not working for me, I can find a different avenue. So it was time to reinvent yet again, and I just started learning about it because it didn't make sense to me to fear something that I knew nothing about. And I was intimidated, but that's how my journey started.
I wonder a little bit as you're talking. There's upheaval and turmoil, and there's like small U upheaval, right? And there's big U upheaval, we'll call it. And when you have no job, and or your relationship goes away, things that threaten um, your security, we will tend to be a little more open. If something is just threatening our security a little bit, but we still have that thing, we'll fight tooth and nail to keep it. But once you're broken open, it's unacceptable. And in that position of being unacceptable, I've talked about this on other podcasts, but in that position where life is unacceptable, then we have to justify in our brains making it acceptable, making we no longer we no longer believe in this existence. So how can we support that? And I think that there's a little place where it's possible to break into what it is that you don't like and you don't want to do when that happens, whether it's something pain is pain, whether it's extremely painful or whether it's scary and we're afraid of losing security or losing integrity. Like, are people going to think we're dumb? Are people going to think, are we going to be feeding the enemy, and the AI is going to take our job? And what is it? It's that place when things become really acceptable that we can throw up our hands and say, all right, let's go.
Mm.
It seems like that's kind of what you did. But let's look at the implications of having a thing that we can do, such as embracing AI. Or what does that even mean? It's actually, we get in there and it's so much bigger than we thought. And there's political stuff now. It's like, oh, China has made a better AI, and and if you're in it, you're like, you didn't think that was going to happen. Everybody's working on this, and those people who are embracing it are doing stuff. It's developing. But when you first enter that, you're like, whoa.
Right. My thoughts are I'm going to use every tool available to me until it's taken away. And if everything gets taken away, I love nature. I'm going right outside in my yard and hanging out with my dog. Like, I'm okay. Technology, no technology, I'm a resilient person. So I'm going to use it as much as I can while it's at this level and it's accessible. And I teach access to people. That's what I'm all about. Teaching
Yeah.
people who would never. I teach AI workshops in libraries. People do not have to pay to go to my courses. Their taxpayers pay for it. It's allocated in the budget, right? So they pay me to come in and teach their community a little bit of AI, to demystify it a little bit so they feel a little less intimidated trying some of the programs. It's
Mm,
very simple, actually, but
it really
it
is.
gets very complicated when you align it with politics and religion and all of the other stuff that I mean, I have my views on things, but when it comes to helping people, I practice inclusivity. I want to empower everyone who is looking to be empowered or looking to learn anything, a new skill, and open their mind just a little bit so they can see the possibilities about their life. I would say if I'm pro anything, I'm pro self-love for everybody, and
Mhm.
skills empower people and give them self-love. I
Mhm.
truly believe that self-love and empowerment would get us out of so many of the situations that we're in and so many of the predicaments. So if I can teach anybody, no matter where they are, where they're in this world, a little bit about a program that can really optimize things that they're trying to do in their lives,
Sure.
100% I'm going to do it. And um I'm not going to sugarcoat it for people. They can keep their fear. You can absolutely keep your fear. Do you want to, but I'll speak and then you make your own decisions. I
Yeah.
don't want to control other people. That's the problem, right? Like we all want to control because of fear,
You can't, but we can't.
but it's impossible, right? It's literally impossible to control other people at a core level because no matter what you do, they're always going to have their autonomy inside their thoughts, right? You can't read their thoughts, not yet. We're not at the telepathy stage of evolution yet. So you can't read their thoughts and their thoughts are their own. And you can't change other people's thoughts. So what you do is you stay in your lane and you figure out. That's what I had to tell myself over and over because I was someone who wanted to change people to have my view. Have my view. Well, don't have fear and like I would love everyone to not have fear, but I can't change that. So I tell them what I tell them and then they can make their own decisions. But at least they can make an informed decision.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much in this. We have when we're uh you've pulled up so much that I'm speechless. Thanks a lot. But you bring up we can't change people, and that's fine, and that giving people, empowering people does allow them to change themselves. But again, only they can empower themselves, and being exposed to the ideas that we belong, and that our uniqueness is our strength, and it doesn't matter what our uniqueness is. You don't want to go out under an authenticity freak flag that is not your own. Like, the point
Mm,
of it is to actually just, who are you? What do you love? What makes you scared? Why what's the part of you don't like? And can you cry? And once we get to that place, this has been kind of a, in many ways, a business type of conversation, but we're talking life here. We're not here in order to conduct business. We're not here in order to make money. We're not here in order to work hard. We work hard because we want an outcome that we love.
mm,
And that's part of life. We're here to be in this experience and to connect with one another. And so sometimes, if people are stuck in that lane of I've got to work because I've got to, like right now, me, for example, I've got there's been no post office in my town for a while, and there finally is one. Just like a pop-up post office. I mean, this is I live in the capital of my state. There's been no post office because it was flooded out. And then it's like, oh,
okay.
we don't need post offices anyway. And so there's occasionally something. I mean, you can do everything on email, right? And on No, there are companies that need you to actually send them something. They need it by a date, and there's nobody picking up, and there's nobody delivering. And it makes one start to wonder, well, I have to do this one thing in my lane. I have to get this envelope to the place it's going, and I can't send it by UPS or FedEx, and I can't do it on email. I can't fax it to them. I can't do any of those things. I have to do it in this one way. How do I do it? And it's really similar to the idea of I need to pay these bills by this time. I have this degree. I have this job. How do I do it? Gee, the math doesn't work out.
Right. And to that, I would say that I have these skills, right? That's where I would say, can you accumulate more skills? Have you accumulated more skills in the past? Is it completely out of your range to think about learning more skills? Are you in the mental space to learn more skills? So then we're talking mental health at that point. I was not in the mental space to learn more skills for about 12 years of my life.
Mm.
Not It was a very difficult infertility battle. The last thing, in the end, I will say I enjoy a child-free life. I am very untethered, and I really love my life. I love travel, I love people, and I love learning. And my lifestyle affords that. But for 12 years of my life, every other Long Island debutante, I wasn't a debutante, I just think it's funny to say that. Every other Long Island woman had this dream, of the family and the home and the validation of what that would give. And I could not obtain that. And I was comparing myself to people that honestly didn't even exist, right?
Right.
So once I realized that I spent 12 years of my life in deep depression and I couldn't take on new skills, and now I know why. I could look back and be like, oh, I didn't have the low grade depression taken care of, so I couldn't
Yeah.
get to the next level. So people do feel like they can't even drive out of your city to a post office. To me, I'd be like, well, I'd hop in my car and drive 40 minutes, and then I would mail that letter because it has to get done. I would listen to some great music or a really good podcast on that way, and I'd figure it out, right? And that's kind of the mindset that I stepped into, as opposed to back in the day. I'm like, there's this one way of sending this letter, and I can't do it. So everything is crumbling, right? So AI provides new skills for people. I mean, it might take over I don't know if it's going to take over the world. I'm not a fortune teller. I only know that right now, AI can help you get a job or change a career because it can teach you a lot about things you might be interested in. That's it.
I think that's a fair amount of fortune telling right there. I think you're actually pretty good at it. And there, honestly, there's we yeah there when we go to this when we say, hey, this is bad because it's going to take my job. Well, if it has the jobs, why not get on its side? Why not work with it? Why not train it in your voice? Why not, whatever your perceptions of AI are? If it's scary, why not learn about it? It's not like it's got a knife. It's not like it's that kind of scary. Learn about it.
Sure.
You know,
But
there's that as well. Like if you're and that's our ego. That's not just the part, there's the self-love stuff, but there's also the ego gets in the way of that. Like, no, that's bad. Humans are better.
yeah,
Humans are fantastic.
they
I mean,
99%
absolutely fantastic.
of our interactions with the human race, 99% are very, very nice interactions. We go to the store, we go to the bank, we talk to a friend, all good interactions. We turn on the news or we turn on social media, and it's amplifying the very small percentage that is super negative, and we're
Right.
taking that in and we're using it a little bit as an addiction right now. And I'm
Yeah.
calling it out because I call it out in myself. I would never call anything out in
Um,
society that I haven't called out in myself. I've called out racism in myself. I've called out blind feminism in myself. I've called out the inability to hear another person's point when they're on the opposition. I'll call it all out in myself, but I'm going to call it out in society. We have an addiction to fear and negativity. And it is a full-time effing job
Yeah.
to reprogram your mind into a positive mindset. And I am 100% aware that not everyone is in that position in this lifetime, and I send them love. I have no beef with them. They are not my people who are going to resonate to me. The first part, I would say, I use AI to rewire my brain. Most of the time, people are like, Chrissy, you're doing so much AI. I'm like, I'm not doing spreadsheets, I'll tell you that. I have departed from the workforce. What am I doing? I'm doing positive affirmations all day long. It is programmed with all of my dreams, all of what I want to do, all of everything that makes me feel amazing. And then it reminds me of everything that makes me feel amazing at the drop of a hat. I just voice commanded. I'm like, I need some lifting up right now. And it rambles through because it knows me. If it and it's a process.
It is
So
a
you
process.
can't expect your AI or your large language model to put anything out worth sharing on social media or sharing with others if you have not spoke to it and you've gotten it to understand your vibe, because it will reflect back all the good in my life that I know that I'm working towards. It's not a perfect science, but every day, right? What is that? Emil Kuh, like every day in every way, I'm getting better. Something like they're little things every day, and it's the consistency. And AI, large language models on your phone particularly, help you with that consistency. Because it's as simple as going to the bathroom and talking to it. It's as simple as taking a walk with your dog. It's as simple as being in the car and voice commanding it, which is like having a conversation over a phone. So I understand that most people don't trust it, and they believe that it's trained by people we don't trust who have all the money, and it's going to brainwash you further. I'm here to say I'm unbrainwashable. I know a lot of people don't think that they are. People do not think that they're brainwashable, but unless you are filling your life with positive vibes every way you can. Oh, sometimes it's like desperation when you're like triggered and you're like, I need to bring in a positive vibe. I need to access love right now for this situation because it just seems so bleak. I use AI for that. So for me, it's not a discussion. I'm not worried about it in my life. Am I worried about it in some other people's lives? No, because I don't worry about other people. But can I see it causing damage? 100%. 100%. It really depends on what you believe about this world. I believe humans are inherently good and they don't have this mastermind. And that reminds me, before we wrap today, I do want to give like 2 or 3 tips on how to protect yourself in the AI age. So at some point we'll go into that. I have three very, very easy and manageable steps to really protect yourself in the AI age. And
Yeah. Let's talk a little more and then we'll get back to that because that's so important. So something that keeps coming up is really the fear, and that that fear is the enemy, right? And this is such a cliche thing, right? But it's true. What that stuff that we fear makes us not be able to see what we could do. And it's also, I'll bring up the ego again. It is arrogant. It's arrogant for us to think that we know that thing is going to take over everything. No, we don't. We don't know a flippin' thing. We have but when you're open to the possibilities, then that's the possibilities. And they are way beyond what us and our, to quote Janice Campbell, our high paid assistant up here, is capable of doing. We aren't capable, when we're in this fear mindset or any other time, of knowing all the possibilities. And we're not here to know. We're here to have this journey. Whether you believe that or not, what harm is it to have that journey? And if you think back in your life, when you've reached some sort of a goal, there's the classic, I'm going to be happy when, okay, you got there, are you happy? That crumbled apart, or that has happened. Are you happy? I'm now going to be happy when I'm going to be happy when I'm thin, when I'm rich, when I live out of the United States, when I live in the United States, when I move away from mom and dad, when I
have that relationship, when I have
whatever it is.
that thing, the house, all of the things that
And
we
it
say, we
never
wait for it.
is it. It's We're not looking for a thing. We're looking for a feeling. We want to be safe first, right? We want to be content. We want to be engaged. There's none of that in fear. But the good thing about fear is fear means that we care. Fear means that we care about those things like our security and our and our
I love
sanctity.
that. I love it. It's like having a place for it, right?
Yeah,
Not shaming the fear.
no,
Like, if anyone's familiar with shadow work, right? We find those parts of us that have the jealousy, that have the comparison in them, and all those like nasty thoughts that don't feel good. And when we notice them and we give them a little bit of validation and say, "Oh, you care," you know? Um,
yeah, yeah,
oh, I love Carrie just commented, knowing, especially believing in something bad must happen is just a story. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's a story we tell ourselves.
And it's okay. We're actually all creative. And we're not going to
Mm.
become any less creative if we tell a different story and we actually work with the AI. I've been a couple of years ago, I checked out AI in music, and said, yeah, it's a very beginning musician. But I thought, yeah, but it's going to grow. It's going to grow,
Mm.
it's going to grow being around this household because, and at this point, there's incredible music coming out of AI, and this isn't that you can say, oh, but it's not theoretically right in this way, or oh, it's trying to emulate this and it's too much like that. It's doing what we all do when we learn a skill. We start out and we emulate something else. We find our own voice. We go out straight with our own voice and then say, oh, here's why this doesn't work, and here's what does work about it, and we try it out. And seeing that happen is amazing and beautiful and not scary, because we're all programming it. It's learning from all of us, just like we learned from our parents. We're
Mhm.
all programming one another. It's no different.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. I see it happen. I love what you said about the music because I'm a singer also, a gigging singer, and I know you're a musician as well. And I'm sure you're aware that we've changed the style of our voices depending on the song. So I've been in many plays where I've had to be an old timey 1920s, 1930s. The tone and the style that I'm singing in
Yeah,
is completely copying someone else, right? It's something that I
right.
heard in a movie. I'm like, I think I could do this. The audience is going to like this take on it. It's the same thing. People are just a little up in arms that it does it a lot faster than us. And they're worried about that. And to
That's
that,
just
I'm
judgment.
like
Yeah,
excited.
right. I mean, we can actually learn things more efficiently too. Part of it is not staying stuck in the fear. And again, the fear, it means we care, but okay, so you care, we've established that. Now let's do something about it. And when you actually focus on a thing, which the AI can focus really well, something that we kind of have a hard time doing, right?
Yes.
But we can pull in things that it doesn't pull in.
Yeah.
Why? And it'll pull in things that we don't pull in, just like another human. But I will never lose my musical voice.
Mm-mm.
I it can do whatever, like it can it can be Barbara Streisand, it can be Mozart, it can be Cardi B, it can be whoever you want it to be, but it's not going to be me, and it's not actually going to be them.
Yeah, I know. I say all the time when I teach classes, I truly believe that there is no replacement for humans the way we are right now. We're so special, and that's the problem. We feel that we're going to be taken away, or and thinking that far, like I use large language models and AI models all the time. I do image creation. I know you dabble in all the different programs. You're aware of how difficult it is, right? Like you understand trying to get AI to do something you want it to do. And a lot of times you're like, I could have done this myself. Um, right?
Right?
Like you're learning new neural pathways. Nothing is really that easy about it. I'm not worried about it replacing humans anytime soon, not in my lifetime. And if I don't worry about things like that, I'm one of those people who is, some people feel that if they're prepared for doomsday, then it won't hit them. Right? There's always going to be the people who have the Costco food feed of human food, right? Like in the bunker so they could survive. I'm the person, I'm just different. I mean, I'm going to want that person if stuff hits the fan. Like I'm going to want to know that person, but at the same time, I'm not the person to go out and get it, and I'm more like, okay, we're here now. I'm just going to call it a day. Next lifetime, please. Like I have a very different mentality,
Yeah.
and I don't expect everyone to come from a place of I'm an eternal being. Um, I do believe in reincarnation, whatever that might look like. That for a lot of people is just like, oh, stop. Okay, so you live in fantasy land. That's great. I'm not going to save you because I've had these conversations with people, and I'm like, I don't want to survive in that world that you're preparing for. I don't want to be part of that world. That's not going to be my world. I keep my world very I keep it very I actually realistic. What am I in control of? What am I in,
Right.
I'm literally only in control of my emotions on most days,
Right.
right?
Exactly. That
How I
is the
react to
surest thing that we can actually
emotions.
control.
And then there's so many people who can't even access what an emotion means. Do you know how long it took me to understand what an emotion was? I still don't even know if I can decipher the difference between an emotion and a feeling. Like I've studied not nonviolent communication and Rosenberg and all the things, and I'm like, okay, where are these emotions? What are emotion words? What are desires? I had zero emotional intelligence, zero. And the best thing I did for myself is not learning AI. It is learning to emotionally decode myself. So that was my starting point. Getting in touch, and like fear is a huge emotion, right? I think so. Is it a feeling? Who knows? I'm not into semantics. Like I said, I embrace my ADHD. There's some things I'll never remember, but you know what remembers it for me? ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
The it's interesting what you bring up, that you can actually ask the um if you have a good relationship with your language model AI, as as opposed to it, not all AI, just to be specific here,
Mm,
it doesn't all have the same
correct.
specialties, so they can't all deal with language. Anyhow, so you can actually start to decipher yourself, is what I'm hearing from you with your AI. And I can say that, yeah, the AI actually will parse out the logic, and it's okay to start with the logic of what is a feeling and what is an emotion. And yeah, that's actually an emotion you're talking about, and it will change. uh, this is a feeling you're having, and it's subject to outside stimuli, and it will change. And you know what? And then this is your belief, and it won't change unless you change it.
Oh, you just hit on something so good. I use it for my triggers. So whenever I'm triggered, I ask it, what's the belief behind this? I tell it the story, and then I do EFT tapping on the belief that I have uncovered. That's really why, if we're talking about why we're here, it's those beliefs. And I know because we are in a certain community and we do study this stuff, we understand that it's changing that belief, which is that's like the whole foundation of everything that gets built upon that. But I've uncovered beliefs about myself. A lot of people call it the God prompt on social media. You might see it as the God prompt, which,
Mm,
it's the prompt that's going to decode all of your blind spots and the
right.
areas that you might not see. And to that, I would say, take it easy. If the person hasn't trained their AI to understand who they are, it's not necessarily going to give you all the answers in one shot. It's a process, it's a relationship that people build. But I love that you hit on that, because that belief, I didn't even like, the emotions and the feelings are all a result of that belief that we never knew we had. It's wild when you uncover, when you unearth. I call it peeling away the onion of myself. When
Yeah.
you unearth that belief, you're like, oh snap! Wow. It's like, it's wild. And then you have tools that are proven. I believe there's data. Like, we love to talk about data. There's data on EFT
Oh,
tapping,
for sure.
right? It changes beliefs. So I have AI take me through the series of tapping on the belief that we just uncovered. I do it daily, and I'm like, ooh, this is great. This is fun. It's fun. I'm not
Yeah.
alone in thinking about, okay, they say, when you're visioning yourself, your successful company, right? I'm working in digital design right now. I'm learning it. It's the hardest thing I've ever decided to get into. I have difficulty remembering things like that. And I was never into aesthetics of anything. Canva gave me hives. But here I am finding myself learning digital design through AI. I absolutely love it. It's challenging me in every way. And I have to really, really rely on the belief that I can do it. Because if I let the beliefs run the show, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. Right? Like, a lot of us have limiting beliefs. So once we find those limiting beliefs, we can move through them. It's wild, but I have to remind myself every day, because it's hard, and I'll be like, why am I here? What am I doing? What am I
Right.
doing?
Right. And that's a legitimate question. I mean, so Canva gave you hives, and that's hilarious. And you're working in this space, and it's like, is this the engagement in something I don't know, and putting wrapping my mind around something else, and will it pass? You don't have to ask if it'll pass, but if it seems to pass, like if you're driving yourself crazy, you don't have to keep doing that thing either. With There's plenty you can learn with AI, or by going out in nature, as we brought up before. We have choices, and we can go whole hog into this, and then say,
Nah,
nah.
nah. It's my life.
you know
I've been married before. Nah. Like, you can say what you want in this world. Like, people don't necessarily believe it, but if you change your belief system, you really can change course easily. Easily, no shame. Right? I
Yeah.
tried this, it didn't work out for me. It didn't fit with my skill set, but I have a feeling like it's about getting through the ego, because ego can be very healthy. Ego is
Mm.
one of the reasons I went to AI, because I was like, I want to learn something that a lot of people don't know about, so I can't get fired again, or at least I can be my own boss, so I don't have that
Yeah.
fear. So
Yeah.
I need to figure out how to work from a hot tub. I love it. have a 20-year-old hot tub
I
that I
know.
go in, I keep it alive with parts, and it's like one of my happiest places in the world. And I love learning from a hot tub. How odd is that? Like technology, right? You just set your tablet up or set your computer up on the side and
Whatever.
listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so good.
Don't judge it. Don't judge yourself. Do what you
Do
want.
what
Be
feels right.
if and do it. And it doesn't have to be all 100% right in every way. You'll never start. But the
you'll
hot tub
never
is a good
you'll
one.
never start.
You can
That's me. I have to clean my entire place until I start doing homework. It's so funny.
yeah.
It's like, and it's torturous sometimes, but I've learned to love that part of me and understand that that's part of my process. And I use AI to work through that as well.
Yeah,
Like I,
sure.
I loop it in. I loop
Yeah.
it in. I'm like, I'm experiencing this right now. I can't really get there. I have found AI to be so loving and nurturing to me. Maybe it's because it's reflecting who I am, but I'm loving and nurturing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And wherever, whatever it is, we can, if we can just, have grace, have compassion, just even have a little tolerance for ourselves. Some of us don't have that. We say, oh my goodness, I am just stopping myself. Well, apparently there's a process there that you need in order to get what you need. And, like explore, what is it that I need? And how can I, with my mindset, my tools, my abilities, my strengths, my loves, my get that thing quickly.
Mm.
The I want to step back for a moment to one thing you were saying, we love data, and we've got a funny thing that in our society that a lot of people don't know is that a lot of data that we have is wildly inaccurate. Some of it is so inaccurate to be faulty and send us down wrong.
Mm.
And this is that it's another whole conversation, but has to do with the whole field of studies that yield our statistics and our need, like any of the rest of us. They need funding, and if they're not going to get funding if they don't tick off these boxes. So it's like this grand interview with society. It's like, oh, that's not going to pass with society, so we're going to only give this data, and all of a sudden it's just wildly skewed, like wildly skewed. And everything we do, AI and us, is based on that data, and some of it's really vetted and done over and over again, tried and true. Some of it is a story, and yeah, that, and there's something else that we don't have in the data. And we're kind of like that too inside of us. Like, I'm looking at incomplete data here. I don't see everything. And I just suddenly, these are our epiphanies that we get once in a while in our lives when we go, oh, that thing about myself. And it changes everything. When we use AI, and whether you're skeptical of the data or you embrace the data, or you just ask questions. What are some different beliefs around this subject than my
Mm.
belief? You may actually be stronger in your belief. We don't have to lose our beliefs. We can
No.
actually strengthen them by seeing what the other beliefs are. But what are some other models of this? What is the way that a company in Sri Lanka would do this thing? And ask different questions, and you start to get different beliefs, and then you can say, oh yeah, that is a belief that I have that just got changed. And that's data, incomplete data or not, it allows us to open our minds and ask these questions.
Yeah. I when it comes to data privacy, right? I understand the need for it. I'm not in cybersecurity. It's not I leave that to the cybersecurity experts because that doesn't call to me. And you can't be part of everything, right? Can't be in every field. You have to stay in your, you can stay in your lane.
This
And
is a great thing.
look, humans use AI. AI doesn't use humans. And that's
Yeah.
what it really comes down to. I just want to touch on the point that it's the humans that don't feel that they can use AI. They're the ones who are pissed about it. They don't feel like they have access, or they can't mentally grab. And I'm not here to rub it in. I use it all the time. I'm so smart. I'm so successful. Ha ha ha. Yeah, part of me wants to be like that.
But you did it so well.
I did it so well, but I want to teach you. If you don't know how to use it, let me teach you. Let's learn it. I'm fun. I'm not techie at all. I use weird words for things. I'm like the thingamajig. You have to use the thing. Like I'm like the bottom right corner. Grab that.
Poke
It's 3 lines. It's 3 lines, right? Like
starboard corner. That thing. Poke it.
I use whatever I have available to me to explain it to people. I'm not, I did not go I do not have a master's in machine learning and neural networks. Like it's not a thing for me. I don't desire that. Many people think AI, they think anyone in AI, I think it's changing. They think anyone in AI went to school for computer programming, right? Oh, you're a developer, you're a programmer. I'm like, no, I talk with a lot of them, and most of the time I don't understand what they're saying, and I hang out in spaces where they are, but I'm my brain doesn't think like that. And how beautiful is that? Because what they're missing is me. They're missing this beautiful, I bring a feminine energy, right? Like, and that was missing in STEM for so many years. There's so much access here now because we have a seat at the table, and anybody can have a seat at the table if they're willing to do a little bit of learning, right? And I'm not going to say it was easy. It wasn't easy, but it was fun. It's been a fun process, and I can teach people a little bit of discernment because I went down the road of a bunch of different courses, and I'm like, this course did not resonate with me. If you're like me, most likely this upskillist course in machine learning, you're going to try it and you're going to be turned right off. You'll be excited to learn the difference between a GPU or a CPU, right? It'll be like, oh, that makes sense now. I've been dealing with computers my whole life and I never knew what this was. You'll learn a little bit, but you'll know that there's so much more to AI because it speaks our language now. That was the problem. Computer programmers were amazing people. They still are amazing people. They're a bridge between tech and humans. But now more people can be that bridge because computers speak our language. It's a natural language processing. So we have an opportunity to here to shape our future. And all the people who felt like they were marginalized before have the opportunity to learn about things that is not gate kept any longer.
Yeah. And in fact, if you value your security and your sanctity of life and your being useful and gaining from it as well as giving and receiving, then there's every reason to actually embrace this because the world is changing. And if there's a model for abundance in AI, which there is, just talk to it, then why would you not want to be part of that abundance?
Yeah. And I want to state clearly, the abundance comes in the ways of a lot of times self-love and lifting you up and giving you empowerment to knowledge. Many people have not figured out how to hack it for financial reasons. It's a little bit of the emperor wears new clothes in the space, and everyone's optimizing in this, and not they don't know. They don't know. A few people do know, and they're doing it, and mostly content creators, honestly. They're using it to do their drop shipping. They're using it to get their social media accounts out there so they don't have so much writing of copy, right? Like so much, or getting ideas of what types of videos to make for TikTok, or that they have really mastered it at this point. But everyone else is kind of like, but our security, our data. And the truth is, nobody really can tell you, you'll be like, don't put that into ChatGPT. It's going to scrape. It's going to get all your information. And I ask them, how do you know? The people who make this don't even know how to extract your information right now. I'm going to tell you the truth. They don't know how to extract what you just put in. It's like this, it's so much data in these that it's not, the human brain can't comprehend how to go in
Right.
and be like, can I get the business model for that company that just is a startup? They might exist. That might exist between, like they might make you believe that that's happening more than it is.
Yeah.
That feeds into fear culture. Most of the people are just trying to figure out how they can start a business, how they can set it up, how they can work their computer. Some, like ChatGPT has the option to just be able to look now. It's like a FaceTime call. I'll be like, okay, I'm holding it to my computer. I'm like, I do not understand how to fix my audio. I'm in Google Meets right now. Can you explain to me? And it'll be like, okay, over there on the left hand side. Like, what? How amazing is that? That's going to help me build the business. It's not going to be like, oh, I know AI. I'm going to make $1 million just because I know AI. It's not about that. I can't explain
No.
it. It's a lifestyle. It's just about having access to assistants and mentors in your pocket if you know how to use it.
Right. There it is. You have people or assistants working for you, working with you, giving you, doing the stuff that it doesn't mean that you have to trust love in it. There's nothing about that. You are the love, but you have help here, and you can embrace that help. You can work with this, and you can ask the questions, and you get to learn how to ask good questions in this,
Mm-hmm.
how to ask questions that, because it's not going to answer as well if it doesn't have the data from your question. It's not going to know where to aim
Yes.
the
I want it to know
search.
my data. I have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Oh, fear.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
more you ask your question, if you want to have it be more spiritual, then you'll figure out how to do that kind of
Mm-hmm.
speech. If you want to have it more data driven and having to do with inventory models or with medical stuff, you have to be very specific, and that's okay. We're all able to do that, and we will continue to be able to do that,
Yeah.
and we will be able to continue to learn.
And
uh,
thrive. We're gonna thrive.
yeah.
People can thrive. They just have to change that belief that
Yeah.
they can't thrive. Right? If they have a belief that they're not going to thrive, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And also, while we were talking about data and everything. I just wanted to give a couple of tips because it's going around. It's very hot in the AI world right now.
Mm.
A lot of people are receiving emails for surveys or a company asking them to log in. Either do the survey. I saw from Costco the other day, it was do the survey and then you can get a free gift like Apple AirPods or something, and all you would have to do is pay the shipping.
Right.
So any email that comes across your way, I need you to set a blanket rule. I'm never going to put in a credit card. I'm going to go out of the email. I'm going to go into or call customer service for Apple. I know nobody wants to do this, or you're just not going to do the survey. You're going to delete it. You're going to say it's coming along with Apple. Your account has been hacked. You have to reset your password. This has been happening forever, but with AI image generators now, they can make the header look exactly
Looks the
the way
same.
it used to be. So I need you to ask yourself if I got an email from anywhere and there's going to be a passcode input at the end of this trail of clicking an email that asks for your passcode or your credit card number, it's a hell no. It's a hell no. And then so that's the one I talk about emails. Just stop. Stop with the emails. Stop clicking. Think of everything as a phishing email. Unless it's a newsletter from Lydia and you want to read and be uplifted for the day, Lydia's not going to ask you for a credit card number or your passcode, right? Keep your credit card numbers and your passcodes to yourself because that's the scammers. That's the phishing. That's the identity.
Yep.
Now, the last thing it's so rare, but we have voice. AI can emulate voices so well. Go back to the 80s and have a passcode with your family, right? I was an 80s kid. If someone tried to pick me up walking home from the bus stop, I'd have to say, "What's the code?" And they'd have to give me my family's passcode for me to ever get in a car with them, right? So now on the phone, if your daughter, if your friend, if your granddaughter, anyone calls you, "I am stuck and I need your credit card for the tow truck. I don't know what to do." You say, "Hold on, I'm going to call you right back." Or, "What's the code?" Right? That's
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
it. And then the last thing I said, I had three. It was like, work on your intuition. Tap in what feels right.
Yeah.
Right? Like the more you're in the AI space, the more you know. I see some videos that are like, clearly this is AI. It's kind of grainy, doesn't feel like Kelly Clarkson would sell pots online. It doesn't feel like Taylor Swift is going to sell on this grainy, weird video that's kind of not synced to her lips. I don't believe she's selling this skincare. I mean, you might get skincare out of it. You might get scammed with your credit card number. I don't know. This exists. It has always existed. It's just existed. It's just better now, and we can be better. And screenshot any text or emails you get and upload it into your AI. If you have any paid versions, you can upload it and say, "Does this look like a scam to you?" And I do it all the time, and it's like, "Yes, it's a scam." Ignore it, block, delete, move on with your life. There are a few easy steps you can take to protect yourself right now. And then play away. Have fun with AI. It's here. It's not going anywhere. Clearly, it's staying. So have fun. Use it to your advantage. You're a good person. We all love you. Everyone loves you out there listening today, tomorrow. We love you, and you deserve shortcuts. That's it.
Right on. Is there anything else that you want to tell anybody
My AI soapbox.
them and their place in the world, and before we wrap this up?
Yeah, you deserve it. You all deserve shortcuts and ease and happiness. You deserve it. And if you could do a little bit of talking, a little bit of, if you're not in a therapy space too, I don't ever say it replaces therapy. I love my therapist. There's no way I would replace my therapist for AI, but it's a great supplement. It's a great supplement and great for people who don't have access to things. If they just need to talk through something and get some encouragement, you deserve the encouragement. That's all I want to leave people with. You deserve it all. So
Right on.
receive
Right
it. It's there for us.
Not a replacement, but encouragement. This is your bubble bath. This is your cup of coffee. This is your this is your affirmations. This is, you can use this with joy.
With joy.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to pop this back up.
You too, Carrie. Grateful for everyone who tuned in. So grateful.
Thank you. And if you are on Team Replay, you can still put stuff in the chat and let us know that you're on Team Replay. And because the engagement, that's another nice thing about videos now, is that the engagement just keeps going on and on. So, because not everybody is available this time. If you're in California, you might just be getting up, and if you're in India, you might really be wrapped up right now in dinner. So I appreciate you and everybody out there. If you haven't done so and you like these conversations, please ever so gently push the subscribe button and hit that like, so that more people can be exposed to these conversations. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Love to you.
Love to you. Love to everyone. Bum ba da da dee da da dee da da da. Bum ba dee da dee da da ba da 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 ba dum. Bum ba da dee da 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 dee da 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 dum. Bum ba da dee da ba da 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 dum.